This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we're going to start with the half square triangles that make up this pinwheel. And those are the 2-inch white squares and the 2-inch small squares. So what you've got here are a 2-inch white square and a 2-inch gray square of some kind. And you can mix and match them, whatever, but you just need the two different colors. All right. So you're going to put those together, right sides together. Then you're going to take a ruler and we're going to move the snowman. And we're going to mark a line from corner to corner like that. Okay. You're going to have it marked corner to corner. Then you're going to sew a 1/4 of an inch on either side of that line and cut on that line. So you end up with two pieces that look like this. And these have been pressed open. Once you get those pressed open, then you need to square them up. And what I have to square them up is this ruler, which, me being not a very good quilter, is very handy for me. It's got slots in it for your rotary cutter, and they're marked every with the dimensions on them. So this little square that we just made by sewing on and cutting, we're going to line up with this ruler. We're going to put the diagonal line right on our seam line. And then using the 1.5 inch slot, we're just going to trim it two sides. And then we're going to rotate it, maybe. Obviously, I didn't cut it enough. And trim the other two sides. And normally you won't have a lot of excess to trim off, but you will end up with a nice, perfect square. And in doing that, if I had done it right, the little dog ears are gone, so you have a nice, perfect square to make your pinwheel. Okay, and you're going to make 4 of these to make your pinwheel. And I always have to look at the picture of the pinwheel because I put them together backwards to start with. So then you're going to assemble 2 of them. Once they're trimmed, you assemble them into, see, I told you I can't do it right. You're going to make 2 rows of 2 and then sew them together to make your pinwheel. So you will use 4 of these and make your little pinwheel, okay? Then you have bigger pinwheels to make from your 3-inch squares. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to draw your line, sew on either side of your line, cut it in half, press it. This time you're going to square them up to 2.5 inches instead of 1.5 inches. And I believe that is in your instructions. Okay, it's on page 2. If you need a refresher, there's a link there to watch a lady do the half square triangles. And there were several videos on YouTube, but I picked that one because the lady's sewing on a Viking machine when she makes her half square triangles. So you're going to make four small half square triangles, and you're going to make 12 of the larger half square triangles, and then make those 12 half square triangles into 3 pinwheels. Okay, making sense so far?
Yeah, it is. Judy, I don't think I ever received those instructions. I've looked at my email and I don't see them. This is Sue.
Yeah, I know. Okay, have you ever gotten any of them from me, or
Yeah, I
do I
have.
just not have you on my list?
You just, the last one I got from you was October 5th.
Huh. I can, if I try to send it to you now, will you get it real quick?
You bet.
You think?
Uh-huh.
Okay. If the rest of them don't mind a minute here. Let's see. Come on, machine. Okay, sent it.
Okay.
It's 6 pages. Okay, so it makes it hard to to follow along when you don't have the instructions. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Let me know when and if it comes in.
It just came in.
Okay, I'll check when we're done here and make sure that you are included in that list.
Okay.
All right. So,
Perfect.
do you want me to go on? Do you want to take the time to do the sewing?
I'd say just go on.
Is that okay with you, Sue Warwick?
Absolutely. Keep going.
Okay. So, on page 2, the bottom section says placemat body. You're going to be putting together, you have the small pinwheel. Once you get it done, there's a corresponding square of gray fabric, which is the piece above the pinwheel here. So you're going to put those two together. Then there's a rectangle this goes on right here is the rectangle that goes next to that. So that makes a square block here. Then you have another rectangle piece of gray, which is this bottom part. So then you have this long strip put together with your pinwheel, the little square, the rectangle, and then the bigger rectangle. Okay, so that all goes together. And there's on the instructions, there's semi pictures of what it's going to look like when you get it put together, just to give you some kind of a guideline so your little pinwheel doesn't end up at the top or on the wrong side. You see those, Judy?
Yes.
Okay. So then you have a larger rectangle, this big piece here, that goes on the left side of this long skinny one that you just made. So then you have this much of your background done, right? Then you can put your 3 pinwheels together and sew that on the other side of that first long strip. So now you have the whole background of your placemat ready to go. All right. And the little picture in the instruction does not show the pinwheels on it, but it shows you kind of a picture of this part of the placemat. but it does say to put the pinwheels on the right-hand side. So now you have that whole big piece. Now the snowman face, the article in the magazine has it as a raw edge applique. I'm not a fan of raw edge applique on something that's going to be used. You know, I think it's just going to wear and fray and eventually look crummy. So what I have done for the instructions is to take your 5x9 piece of fabric for your snowman's face, and on the right side of it, I tell you to fold it in half so you can find the center of the bottom edge. And then once you've got it folded in half and you've got a mark there, the crease, can you see that? See the crease here? I ask you to make a mark 1/4 of an inch up, right there. You have the mark 1/4 of an inch up, and then take your circular attachment for your machine and set it on the 20 centimeter mark. And I use the centimeter marks because the circular attachment clicks into the centimeter marks. If I wanted to use the 8-inch mark, it doesn't click into it, and there's a possibility that your little pointer here will move as you're sewing. So I like to use the centimeter mark as much as I can. And if you really wanted it to be more accurate, you could use your zigzag plate and your zigzag foot that has a wide opening in it, and then move your needle if you wanted to be perfectly accurate. But for this purposes, the 20 centimeter is close enough to 8 inches to give us the thing that we want. Then we're going to take a piece of cutaway fusible mesh. We're going to cut it. This one's a little large, but we're going to cut it the same size or just a little bit bigger than our piece for the face. We're going to put the shiny side of the stabilizer against the right side of our snowman's face fabric. Then, because we can still see through this, we're going to put our pin for our circular attachment at that 1/4 inch mark in the center. So it's like that. And then we're just going to sew a half circle around for our snowman's face. We're going to then trim it, and I suggest that you trim with a pair of pinking shears so you don't have to clip the curved edge. Turn it right side out and finger press it so that you have this nice circle edge, and it's a seam, it's tucked in, Sue, you got a question?
No, I'm good.
Okay. It's and the shiny side of the stabilizer now will be on the outside when you turn it right side out. And then when you go to put it on your placemat, you can fuse that down and keep it in place. The only thing you can't do is once you turn it right side out, you can't press that seam because your fusible side is on the outside. So you just very carefully finger press it down. And then you can fuse it to your placemat. And on the instructions it says, let's see, does it tell you here or later? Okay, tells you a little bit later because you're going to do when you make the carrot And I made my carrot a little bit shorter than the picture that's in your instructions because I thought it was really a little long. Your instruction shows it like this, but I rounded the end and made it just a little bit shorter. You can make it however you want. All right. But when I sewed it, I left an opening on an edge to turn it right side out because it's all enclosed. There's no open edge like we had on the snowman's face. I left an opening right about here to turn it right side out. And you just have to be kind of careful because this is a little tight up here at the point, and that's one reason I rounded it a bit, that it wasn't a sharp point to turn it right side out. But it's the same technique where you're putting the fusible no-show mesh right sides together with your fabric, sewing around and then trimming and turning it right side out. Any questions on that one? Okay. I love it that I can see your face and you shake your head so I know yes or no, Judy. Thank you. Okay, down at the bottom of page 3, it says applique, and it tells you to put the edge of the snowman face 1.5 inches from the edge of the placemat. And mine might, oh, that's pretty close. So you're going to put it 1.5 inches from the raw edge there, and then I fused it in place, and then I stitched it down with a small blanket stitch. All right. And then you do want tearaway stabilizer behind it when you're doing your blanket stitch. And I just cut a piece that was big enough that I could do the nose too. So once your face is down, then you can put your nose down and blanket stitch it also, and then remove your tearaway stabilizer. Now, as far as then you have the whole front of your placemat assembled, and you are ready to start quilting it. All right. And the only quilting that's done, and I don't know how well this will show up on, oh, it does show up good. This is how much it's quilted. Not a lot. Can you see that?
Mhm.
I did stitch in the ditch down the middle of the row of pinwheels, and I did stitch in the ditch at the edge of the pinwheels. Just those 2 straight lines down, okay? And then, because you're going to be stitching the snowflakes on there, I used that as my quilting, plus I just echo quilted 1 line around the, come on, show up right. 1 line around the snowman's face, including his nose. I didn't try to go in and go around his nose. I just did it all at once. Okay. All right. So you're going to make your sandwich, and whatever kind of batting you want, and then whatever backing you want. And then to make your snowflakes, I made you a chart, the very last page of your instructions, as to how far they are from your edge of your placemat, and then how long each one is. And this one over here is the one that goes right down. It just goes down to the middle of the little pinwheel and back up. Each one of these are double stitched. And I gave on page 5, there's a picture of the snowflake, a drawing of the snowflake, and then down below it is a diagram of how you could stitch that snowflake because it's stitched twice. You're going to stitch down from the top and then stitch each arm of your snowflake twice and then stitch back up to the top. So you don't have to worry about dealing with thread ends or anything. You're coming right off of the top of your placemat. So you, no knot tying and burying tails of your threads. And I used silver metallic thread to stitch my snowflakes. And I have this little template, which is a Westerly template. It's called a mini 8 crosshair ruler. If you have the regular Westerly templates, there's a big one that has, you can mark 8 arms for a snowflake, or if you want 6 arms on your snowflake, that's great too. But this was very handy because it was easy to mark the snowflake and stitch it. Does that make sense? If you don't have one, something like this, I'm sure that you can pretty much mark your 8 arms or 6 arms, and they don't have to be perfect. But in the diagram I drew of how the sequence of stitching them, I didn't really follow that. This was just a way that I could show you a diagram that wasn't confusing. But I'll go through how I stitched them, which I thought was easier maybe or more efficient than the diagram that I gave you. All right. So what I did was I came down all the way to the bottom of my snowflake, and then I came back to the center. So now this little arm has been stitched twice. When I got to the center, I would come out to another arm, and then instead of just stopping at the center, I would go ahead to the one opposite it and come back to the center. Then pick another one and go out, come back, continue, and come back to the center. And finally, do the last one, go out, come through the center and back. And then when I got back to the center, I would go back up. Sue Pathy, are you back? There you are. You can't still your mic. Turn your mic on, sweetie.
There we go. I'm back. Somehow I got my display in portrait instead of landscape. And when you do that, the mouse does not go where you want it to. So I'm back.
Okay, well, if you hang on a minute, we're doing the quilting, and
Okay.
I'll go back and go through it with you. Okay?
Okay.
I'll go through the whole thing with you. All right?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I do.
Bye.
All right. So once you've done all of these, there's just 4 of those snowflake things, because the one on the small pinwheel where they considered the pinwheel the snowflake, I did not do the arms on the snowflake. I just came down to the center and then went right back up. So it was double stitched. And then it calls for little white buttons in the center of the each one of those snowflakes and that little pinwheel. And because I only found the right size button with 4 holes in my stash, instead of them being the holes being square on there, I turned them so they're and stitched them so they're kind of like a cross. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I stitched those with the silver thread again and I stitched them on the machine because I was too lazy to stitch them by hand. And then the 2 eye buttons are put on there, and you can space them however you would like. I didn't put any kind of recommendations on for that. And then clean up the edges and bind it however you want it bound, and you're all done. Do you have any questions on any of that?
No,
don't.
looks good.
Okay. In the magazine, there also was a companion table runner.
Oh, cute.
So there's a snowman minus the pinwheels on each end. And in the middle is a panel of pinwheels, but there's also 4 patch blocks in there. And I just thought the whole thing was extra cute.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, and again, on the table runner, you're doing exactly the same thing you do on the placemat. You just do not put that row of pinwheels on the right-hand side. And again, I didn't do a lot of quilting. I just did some stitch in the ditch on the center panel and the snowflakes and the echo quilting on the snowman on the ends. Somebody needs to bind it though. But binding's made. It's just not gotten put on. And this is the article in the magazine where it shows you the picture of the placemats and the table runner together. I thought it was cool. And again, this is the magazine. It's a current issue in case you're interested in finding it. Sue Warwick, you okay?
Yep, I'm fine. It looks, I
Okay.
love that table runner. That is a great idea.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
And really the only big difference is that you're making the pinwheels. These pinwheels here are the same exact size as what's on your placemat. You
Mm-hmm.
just make a 4 patch the same size. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of 3 blocks. So you've got 15 blocks to make. And then you alternate your pinwheels. See, your pinwheels are alternated
Yeah.
with the 4 patches. So you probably don't really need even directions to do that.
Right.
So
Could you please tell us what month that issue is?
it's winter. They come out seasonally, like every couple months. It says display until January 8, 2024, and it's winter 2023, and it's Quilter's World.
Okay. Do you know if
All
Carol
right.
has any of them?
No, Carol doesn't carry magazines.
Okay. Thank you.
You might try the grocery stores, or if you're someplace where there's like a Barnes and Noble.
Joanne's might carry it.
True.
Joanne, yes, true. Joanne's might have it. But it was so cute. And the lady who made that, where's the other one? Oh, they came out, the same company, Quilter's World, put out a Christmas issue. And the lady that designed these placemats has many things in this Christmas thing that are just adorable. And that's one of her adorable things is going to be our December project. These are
That's
coasters.
cute.
You,
They're-
Cute,
And just
cute.
to make it fun, I digitized it so it's totally in the hoop.
Oh,
Yay,
perfect.
thank you.
hey,
I don't have
nice.
SVG files for you, Lee,
It's okay, but thank you.
but I think you can do it anyhow. Anyhow, I thought that was so cute and would be a fun project. It's easy. They end up being they're 5 inches square, and this one I just made yesterday, and you end up just with a little opening down here at the bottom, which because it's a coaster and might get wet and might go through the washing machine on occasion, um, you might want to sew it rather than just seaming it.
Mm.
But that's what we're doing for December.
Oh, that's cute.
It's cute.
I thought they were totally cute. And I might pull another project out of here for January. This.
Oh,
Isn't that cute?
yes.
You can make it, if you don't want to have 5 snowmen, you could make it 3. You could make it 2, however many you want.
Can always use placemats, coasters too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, these are a little bit bigger.
Mhm.
Let's see. The block size is 6 by 5.5, so that would work too. So,
Now, what is
and
that
it's by,
magazine?
pardon?
Wait, what is that magazine? It's a different magazine, right?
It's still Quilter's World, but it says display. It's Christmas 2023. It's a special edition just for Christmas. Everything in there is Christmas. And it's
Okay.
Quilter's World, and it says display until December 11th. So both of these magazines should still be available out in the world. And
Thank
there
you.
are, so this one lady is just totally prolific, and I love everything she has done. So, any questions on that? Are you ready to jump in there and make some placemats?
You bet.
Okay. And I don't know if you have, a ruler like this. They were at Sew-ciety, of course. That's where I got mine. But there are different kinds of square up rulers for your half square triangles. I just happen to have that one, and I know how to use it. So, okay. Well, I'm gonna turn off the recording and then go back and help Sue Patha with hers. Okay. If you want to hang in there, you're most welcome to do that.